How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, June 19th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, now that the 2020-2000 NBA season has concluded, and the All-NBA teams have officially been announced, I'm going to, of course, go through the All-NBA teams and provide provide context just enough to give a little bit of understanding as to how these players were voted in here. I'm not going to talk about the players that didn't make it in, but I'm just going to acknowledge the players that did make it and congratulate them for the amazing seasons that they were able to put together. So, looking at the very first team of the NBA, of course, is going to be headlined by the 2020-2021 NBA MVP from Sombor, Serbia, the 26-year-old elite starting center for the Denver Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. In addition to being named an All-Star for the very third time in his career, he was named the NBA MVP for the very first time in his career. And this is the second time he was ever named to the first team All-NBA. This is the second time. The first time he was named was 2019. Nikola Jokic this season will go on to average 26.4 points per game. He was 12th in the league in scoring. He also went on to average 10.8 rebounds per game, also in the top 10. He averaged 8.3 assists, which is 6th in the league in all out of all players. Second to Draymond Green out of all big men. He averaged 8. He averaged 8.3 assists, 1.3 steals per game. He had 60 double-doubles, which actually led the league. He went on to finish with 16 triple-doubles, which was second in the league in triple-doubles. He had the highest PER in the league as well. He would play 72 games in a season in which he led the Nuggets to the third seed in the Western Division, or in the Western Conference. They were able to beat the Trailblazers in the first round, but they got swept to the Suns in the second round. But of course, he is the headliner for the NBA first team following an amazing season in which he has now etched himself in NBA history for the rest of his life. And he also became the lowest draft pick ever to a player who was drafted at the lowest draft pick ever to have won the MVP in the NBA. So, of course, he made history for himself. Sitting alongside him on the first team NBA is Giannis Antetokounmpo, the elite starting power forward out of Athens, Greece, who was the NBA MVP prior to Nikola Jokic in 2019-2020. This is the third time that Giannis Antetokounmpo has made the first team All-NBA. This is the fifth time that he's made an All-NBA team in his career. He has made the All-NBA teams from 2019, 2020, and 2021. This season, Giannis Antetokounmpo would end up playing 61 games for a Milwaukee Bucks team that finished with the third best record in the Eastern Conference, 3 games behind the Eastern Conference leading Philadelphia 76ers. In the season, Giannis would finish averaging 28.1 points per game, which was 5th in the league out of all players that qualified for that amount of points. He did all of this while averaging 11 rebounds and 5.9 assists as well, 1.2 steals and 1.2 blocks, finishing with 41 double-doubles on the season, which is tied for Julius Randle for the 8th most in the league. All this while shooting 57% from the field, 30% from 3, and 68.5% from the foul line. Like I said, Giannis Antetokounmpo alongside Nikola Jokic, proving to be two of the best players in the NBA, of course. And following him making it into the playoffs right now, he's currently about to face off against the Brooklyn Nets to contend to fight, because if he wins tonight, he can book the Bucks a ticket into the Eastern Conference Finals, and he has the opportunity to do so tonight. So, of course, Giannis Antetokounmpo right there. The third place in the NBA first team belongs to Stephen Curry, the go-to starting point guard for the Golden State Warriors out of Akron, Ohio, or Charlotte, North Carolina, wherever you want to say, out of Davidson. Stephen Curry, in addition to being named to an NBA All-Star, is the 7th time in his NBA career. This is the 4th time he's been named to the All-NBA first team and the 7th time that he's ever been named to an All-NBA team. This season, he went on to finish with the NBA scoring title, averaging 32 points per game in the 63 games he played. He helped get the helped the Golden State Warriors finish with the 8th best record in the Western Conference going into the play-in game, but they ended up losing the first game to the Lakers off of a last-second shot from LeBron, and then they would end up losing to the Memphis Grizzlies in the second play-in game. So that's how the Warriors officially got eliminated. But Stephen Curry's season was insane. In addition to getting the scoring title, he did all this while averaging 5.5 rebounds and 5.8 assists, averaging just over a steal per game as well, all while shooting 48% from the field, 42% from three, while making 5.3 three-pointers per game. And he did all this while shooting 91% from the foul line as well. So, of course, Steph Curry putting together yet another prime performance in a season for one of the greatest players of all time. The 4th slot on the All-NBA first team belongs to Luka Doncic, the elite starting shooting guard out of Ljubljana. Sorry if I butchered the name. He's from Slovenia, the young 22-year-old elite starting guard. This is the 2nd time that Luka Doncic has made the All-NBA first team, and this is also the second season that he's made an All-Star team. Luka Doncic this season would put together a virtuoso performance, playing 66 games for a Dallas Mavericks team that finished tied with the Portland Trailblazers and the Los Angeles Lakers for the 5th best record in the NBA, but they got the 5th seed. They would eventually get eliminated in 7 by the Los Angeles Clippers. So, of course, that's how his season came to an end after an amazing season beginning to end. He would average 27.7 points alongside 8 rebounds and 8.6 assists. He would finish with 26 double-doubles. He had 11 triple-doubles, which was 4th in the league by the end of the season. So, of course, he had a great game. He had a great season for himself. He did all this while shooting 47% from the field off of 20 attempts. He shot 35% from three and 73% from the foul line. And even though he wasn't able to make it through the first round, he was still able to show the NBA that he was one of the NBA's at least top 5 players. And of course, not saying that this is in any order, but the 5th member of an All-NBA first team for the 2020-2021 season was Kawhi Leonard, the goated starting small forward for the Los Angeles Clippers out of Los Angeles himself. This season, Kawhi Leonard would go on to average 24.8 points per game and play 52 games for a Los Angeles Clippers team that finished tied with the Nuggets for the 3rd best record, but ended up with the 4th seed in the Western Conference. Looking out to how his season was, he finished 16th in the league in scoring, averaging 24.8 points per game, while shooting 51% from the field, 39.8% from three, so he was 0.2% off from 40%, and he shot 88.5% from the foul line, so he was 0.2% off from three and 1.5% off from the free throw line, from being a 50-40-90 player this season, all while averaging 6.5 rebounds, 5.2 assists, 1.6 steals, which puts him in the top 10 for the season as well. And of course, continuing on to what he's doing in the playoffs, the Clippers were able to beat the Dallas Mavericks thanks to efforts from Kawhi Leonard, and Kawhi Leonard was able to help them he was able to help them win 2 of their first 4 games against the Utah Jazz, but then, of course, the Clippers were able to win games 3 and 4 after Kawhi Leonard went down with a knee injury. He may not play for the rest of the playoffs, and he may be out for a good chunk of next season. But for this season, he was able to make it to the first team All-NBA. This is the And additionally, this is the 5th season that he made an All-Star team. This is the 3rd All-NBA first team that he's made. The first one that he's made since 2017 when he was a member of the San Antonio Spurs. This is the 5th All-NBA team he's been a part of. He was a member of the All-NBA second team in 2019 and 2020, to give a little bit more context. So that is the All-NBA first team. Once again, going through it, Nikola Jokic from the start. Giannis Antetokounmpo, the player that won the 2 MVPs before that. Stephen Curry, another 2-time MVP. Kawhi Leonard, a 2-time NBA Finals MVP, and Luka Doncic, a 2-time All-Star, who in his 2 All-Star seasons was an All-NBA player. First team All-NBA player. Now looking at to the players that made the All-NBA second team, of course, the headliner, making what is now going to be his 17th All-NBA appearance, breaking the NBA record, is LeBron James, the goated small forward for the Los Angeles Lakers this season. For the Lakers, he would end up playing 45 games in a season where he would end up having to deal with a lot of injury due to fatigue, and of course he got a high ankle sprain which knocked him out for a good chunk of the season. In the 45 games he played, he averaged 25 points, 7.7 rebounds, and 7.8 assists, just over a steal per game, all while shooting 51% from the field, 36% from 3, and he would go on to shoot 70% from the free throw line on the season, all while, of course, making his 17th consecutive All-Star game as well. This is the 3rd time he's ever made the All-NBA second team in his career ever. He made the All-NBA third team for the first time in 2019, his first time in LA. His second season in LA, he made his 13th All-NBA first team, and then he made his 3rd All-NBA second team this year. The last time he made it was in 2007, back when he was in Cleveland the first time. So that just to give a little bit of context as to what LeBron's season was looking like. And of course, he was the main contributor with Anthony Davis being out to injury for the most part, helping the Los Angeles Lakers finish with the 7th best record in the Western Conference. He was the one that hit the game-winning shot to help them get past the Golden State Warriors to at least make it into the playoff series. And once Anthony Davis went down halfway through the series against the Suns, it was they were basically sunk in the water. The Suns were sharks in the water basically, and the Lakers were eliminated. But LeBron James, of course, showing his impact, that he was an All-NBA player, and of course showing the amazingness of the longevity of his career for his ability to to be named to his 17th All-NBA team. Like, that's 17 years is a long time. But sitting alongside him, another player that's been in this league a long time, Chris Paul, the elite starting point guard for the Phoenix Suns. This year he would make his 11th NBA All-Star team while finishing 50th in the league in scoring, averaging 16.4 points while shooting 50% from the field, 39.5% from 3, and 93% from the foul line. He led the league in free throw percentage this year, all while averaging 4.5 rebounds, 8.9 assists, and just over a steal per game, finishing with 25 double-doubles on the season. He was, of course, the prime catalyst in helping the Phoenix Suns jump from a team that wasn't in the playoffs last year to a team that finished with the 2nd best record in the Western Conference this year, just 1 game below the Utah Jazz for the best record in the NBA. Chris Paul, like I said, this is his 11th time being named an All-Star. This is his 5th time being named to the All-NBA second team in his career, and his 10th time in his career being named to an All-NBA team. He was named to the All-NBA second team last year for the Oklahoma City Thunder as well, just to give a little bit more context. And once he made it into the playoffs, they were able to beat the Los Angeles Lakers in the first round, and he was able to help them get past a good amount of the Denver Nuggets before Chris Paul was ruled out. He helped them sweep the Nuggets before Chris Paul was ruled out for the rest of the playoffs due to a positive COVID test. Or he's ruled out indefinitely. I don't know if he could possibly come back early, but right now that's the situation. But Chris Paul being named to his 5th All-NBA second team, and he's been named to 4 All-NBA first teams. He's been named a top 10 player in the NBA 9 times in his career, considering he's a 6-foot player and he's 175 pounds. very impressive for Cliff Paul's twin brother. The third player that I will mention that was named to the second team All-NBA was Joel Embiid, the elite starting center out of Florida for Kansas, out of Cameroon. The 7-footer was the main contributor for a Philadelphia 76ers team that finished with the best record in the Eastern Conference. This year specifically, he would finish fourth in the NBA in scoring. In the 51 games he played, he averaged 28.5 points per game while shooting 51.3% from the field, 37.7% from three, and 85.9% from the foul line for the season, while at the same time averaging 10.6 rebounds a game, which put him in the top 10 barely. He would also average 2.8 assists, all while averaging 1.4 blocks per game this season. And he was also, I believe, named to an all-defensive team as well. Don't quote me on that. But additionally, for Joel Embiid for the season, he was named an NBA All-Star for the very fourth season in a row. He was named to the All-Defensive second team for the third time in his career, and he was named to the All-NBA second team for the third. This is the third time he's been named to the All-NBA second team. He's never been named to the first team or the third team. The last time he was named to the second team was in 2019. And following this season, of course, he helped the 76ers get through. They helped them beat the 8th seed coming out of the East, which was the Washington Wizards. And now they are facing a Game 7 against the 5th seed Atlanta Hawks tomorrow night to give a little bit more impact, or give a bit more context. But Joel Embiid, of course, a big reason of why the Sixers are here where they are now. The fourth member that I'll mention for the second team, All-NBA, was Damian Lillard, the elite starting point guard out of Oakland, California, currently playing for the Portland Trail Blazers. This season, he was named an All-Star for the sixth time in his career as he finished third in the NBA in scoring, averaging 28.8 points per game, shooting 45% from the field, 39% from three, and 92.8% from the foul line, all while finishing with 16 double-doubles on the season with a PER of 25.65. All this while leading the Portland Trail Blazers to the sixth best record in the Western Conference. They did get eliminated in the first round, but of course Damian Lillard would help lead the way for them to do so. This is the third year in a row and the fourth time total that he's been named to the All-NBA second team. This is the sixth time that he's been named to an All-NBA team, in addition to being named an All-Star for all 6 of those years. So, of course, Damian Lillard putting together an amazing season yet again for the history books. And a first-time member to the All-NBA second team was the first-time All-Star power forward, Julius Randle for the New York Knicks. Julius Randle would end up finishing, he would average 24.1 points per game, finishing 19th in the league in scoring, leading the New York Knicks to the 4th seed in the East to make the playoffs for the first time since 2013. At the same time, he went on to average 24 points per game while shooting 45.5% from the field, 41% from three, and 81% from the foul line. He averaged 10.2 rebounds a game and 6 assists per game, hence why he had 41 double-doubles, putting him in the top 10 alongside the Defensive Player of the Year, or alongside reigning former back-to-back MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. But that just shows his impact and what he's been able to do for this team ever since he's gotten there. And Julius Randle was able to get 6 triple-doubles on the season as well. And the Knicks, once they got to the playoffs, they were eliminated in 5 by the 5th seed Atlanta Hawks. But Julius Randle did put together a pretty good season. And this is the very first time he's been named to an All-NBA team, in addition to being named an All-Star. So those are the players that made up the second team of the All-NBA. Going through it once again, it was LeBron James making it for the 17th time in his career. Chris Paul making it for the 5th time, making the second team for the 5th time in his career. Damian Lillard finishing 4th in the league, or 5th third in the league in scoring for the Trailblazers. Joel Embiid for the 76ers, finishing fourth in the league in scoring. And then Julius Randle, the 2020-21 most improved player. And then looking out to the players that made up the All-NBA third team, the player that had the most votes was the 2020-2021 NBA Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, out of San Quentin, France. The 7'1" player finished with his third NBA Defensive Player of the Year award. He would make the All-Defensive First Team for the fifth year straight in his career. Of course, he would make his second straight NBA All-Star team as well. And this is the fourth time that Rudy Gobert has made an All-NBA team. Like I said, from 2019 to 2021, he has been named to the All-NBA third team just to show what his impact is. And at the same time, Rudy Gobert would go on to finish he finished second in the league in rebounds, while also leading the league in blocks with 2.7. He finished with 49 double-doubles on the season, which tied him with Jonas Valanciunas for third in the league. He averaged 14.3 points as well, shooting 67.5% from the field, which was actually the highest field goal percentage in the league, while also shooting 62.3% from the foul line as well. Alongside him on the All-NBA third team was Jimmy Butler, the leading contributor for the Miami Heat Eastern Conference title run. This season, he would go on to finish 26th in the league in scoring, averaging 21.5 points in the 52 games he played for a Miami Heat team that finished with the sixth best record in the Eastern Conference. But regardless, he averaged 21.5 points while shooting 49.7% from the field, 24.5% from three, and he shot 86% from the foul line, while averaging 6.9 rebounds, 7.1 assists, and 2 steals per game, leading the league in steals. He did all of this, and once the Miami Heat made the playoffs, they would actually end up getting swept by the Milwaukee Bucks. But of course, for Jimmy Butler, this would be the fourth time in his career that he'd make the All-NBA third team, even though he did not make the All-Star team this year. He also made the NBA All-Defensive second team for the fifth time in his career as well. And this is the first time in his career that he's ever been the NBA steals leader as well. The third player that was voted into the All-NBA third team was Paul George, the elite starting shooting guard for the Los Angeles Clippers, who most recently just punched their ticket into the Western Conference Finals without Kawhi Leonard. So of course they're going to rely a lot on Paul George. Paul, in addition to being named an All-Star for his seventh season in a row, Paul George would go on to average 23.3 points per game, finishing 22nd in the league in scoring, while also shooting 46.7% from the field, 41% from three, and 87% from the foul line, while also averaging 6.5 rebounds and just over 5 assists per game and over a steal per game as well. He played 54 games for a Los Angeles Clippers team that finished with the fourth seed in the Western Conference, and in the very first round beat the Dallas Mavericks in 7, and very recently just punched their way past the first seed Utah Jazz in 6 games, while he just dropped 28 points last night. To give a sense of what Paul George's impact is for the Clippers, this is the 5th time that he has been named to the All-NBA third team in his career. This is the 6th time that he's ever been named to an All-NBA team. And alongside him, the 4th player that was named to the All-NBA third team was Bradley Beal, the runner-up to the 2021 NBA's scoring title. He would start 60 games for a Washington Wizards team that finished with the 8th best record in the Eastern Conference, and they ended up getting beaten in 5 by the first place Philadelphia 76ers. Regardless, Bradley Beal would average 31.3 points per game, the only player other than Stephen Curry to average 30 points a game this season. He did all this while shooting 48.5% from the field, he had the most field goals made per game this season, averaging 11.2, more than Steph Curry's 10.4, because Steph Curry made more threes. Bradley Beal would shoot 34.8% 87.9% from three and 89% from the foul line, while averaging 4.7 rebounds and 4.4 assists and 1.2 steals per game. And once like I said, the Wizards made it to the playoffs, they got swept by the Sixers. But of course, an amazing season beginning to end from Bradley Beal. And the last place that they would give the All-NBA third team to would be Kyrie Irving, the elite starting point guard for the Brooklyn Nets. Of course, coming out of Duke. This season, Kyrie Irving would put together a virtuoso performance that I think went under the radar of a lot of people. Kyrie Irving would go on to... He would play 54 games for a Brooklyn Nets team that finished with the second best record in the Eastern Conference, just one game below the Philadelphia 76ers. He was the only player for the Brooklyn Nets to make an All-NBA team, surprisingly. He would average 26.9 points per game, which finished ninth in the league amongst players that qualified. All this while shooting 50.6% from the field, 40.2% from three, and 92.2% from the foul line. He was the only player in the NBA that had a 50-40-90 season on the year. At the same time, he averaged 4.8 rebounds and 6 assists, while averaging 1.4 steals as well. And following that, he was able to help the Brooklyn Nets get through the 7-seed Boston Celtics in 5. And he did get hurt in the series against the Milwaukee Bucks. I want to say in either game 4 or 5. I'm not completely sure. But of course, Kyrie was a very big part of the Brooklyn Nets making it this far. And in addition to Kyrie Irving being named an All-Star for the 7th time in his NBA career, this is the 2nd time Kyrie has ever been named to the All-NBA third team, and this is the 3rd time he's ever been named to an All-NBA team. The last time he made the All-NBA third team was 2015 when he was on the Cavaliers with LeBron James. And the last time he made an All-NBA team was when he made the All-NBA second team with the Boston Celtics in 2019. But to give you a sense, that's what is going on with these are all of the players that made the All-NBA teams. But to go through the All-NBA third team one more time, to go through the top, it was Rudy Gobert, the 2021 Defensive Player of the Year, Jimmy Butler, the NBA steals leader, who of course was the leading contributor who's the leading player to help the Miami Heat at least stay in the series with the Lakers in the finals last year. Paul George, the elite shooting guard that's currently keeping the Clippers in that helped the Clippers make the Western Conference Finals in the first place. Bradley Beal, the runner-up for the 2021 scoring title, and Kyrie Irving, the only player in the NBA to finish with a 50-40-90 season this year. So, of course, this is a very star-studded collection of NBA players. So, of course, I mean, many people can say some people got snubbed, but these guys made it. That's the point in all this, and it'll go down in the end of the day. But with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening. First, I want to thank ESPN and the NBA and Basketball Pro Reference for of course giving me the stats, the data, the numbers that I needed to of course get these numbers. I wouldn't get it without them, so of course I owe them credit. And I want to thank everyone for listening to this piece. I hope all is well. And once all of today's matchups are done, I'll come back tomorrow on Sunday, June 20th, for another episode of The Elite. But until then, I want to thank everyone once again, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow with another episode.